and just don't care. Keep them there. Yo, run the jewels, run the jewels, run the jewels.
Hello and welcome back to Rerun the Jewels, aka Panthering Like Panthers, aka the Pistol and Fist. I can't remember the other ones because it's been forever since we recorded this. We are back at it like crack addicts. Here to talk about RTJ4. My name is Noah.
And I'm Gavin.
And we're the Blanchard Brothers.
AKA the Bastard Surprise.
Okay. That one's in there now.
We gotta have one more for 4 hours.
That can be for 4.
Yeah.
And again, I can't remember the others that we came up with within those episodes. Hopefully, people listen to those. If you've taken the journey thus far, we greatly appreciate it. This is possibly the final episode of Rerun the Jewels, but that is entirely dependent on you, listener. So we'll say that from the top. We've mentioned it on previous episodes. Maybe we come back for 5. Maybe we talk about some singles, some features on other people's records. Maybe we talk about rap music. Maybe we talk about solo LP efforts. I'm gonna get it right. We're just rolling with it.
Maybe we talk about Meow the Jewels.
We could do that too. We could do an entire episode on Meow the Jewels.
That would be dope.
Yeah. We don't know. We're kicking it around. We threw all of these together for you. This has been the longest gap between recording episodes. Truth be told, we are now 2 days before the election, a day before you're supposed to be hearing this.
Right.
If
we weren't putting it right all together at the very end,
and I managed to get these edits done, it goes up at midnight of the night we're recording.
Right.
This. So,
I mean, literally, we're always 2 weeks late with new stuff, and we always do stuff at the very last minute. That's
absolutely.
Just what we do.
The whole point was like, I'll record these early. We'll get them in the books, and I can be working on them in the background. Well, you know what? Got caught up with a lot of other stuff. October, which we also slacked off on because we were doing this. It just, it's all a vicious cycle. Mm-hmm. It's terrible. But here we are, episode 4, Rerun the Jewels.
Right. And before we start again, if we haven't reiterated enough, and the other 3 you've listened to, just like our future of whether or not we're going to do a 5th episode relies on you, the future of the entire world, the free world that you know it, and the rest of the other worlds that exist on planet Earth, is all literally in your hands right now. I know a lot of you have gotten out of bed and filled out an absentee ballot, or you got up and you went to an early polling station and you cast your vote and you made sure it was counted, and God damn it, that's great. It's your right as a citizen of this great fine country we're in that you're able to do that, and I'm glad that you're not taking advantage of it. I don't know if I've mentioned in other casts, I personally made sure that 2 little girls that I work with registered for the first time to vote, because this is the first election they can vote in.
Good on you.
And I made sure a good friend of mine who has had the ability to vote longer than I have, but just never saw the need for it, she actually went and voted early, so I'm proud of her as well. And if listening to any of these is, again, it's the day before, but if you were thinking about it, you were unsure whether or not you want to go to the polls, I'm hoping that it doesn't really take 4 podcasts, Rerunning the Jewels, to make you do it. But if it does, and this is what you need, then goddamn it, get up and go vote.
Yeah. Hopefully this is just hey, follow through. Like, you've probably been making a plan. It still takes the effort to, get up on the day and go stand in line.
Listen, I'm going to work all day. And I'm going to get off right at 5, and I'm going to drive back over because
I have requested the entire day off from work, and I'm going to go vote with our mom and dad in person with mask on.
That you're going to be at the same place I am, so maybe check it out and see how the lines are when you go. Maybe I'll know how bad it's going to be when I went. I've never waited in line that long at the 2 I voted for at that place.
We'll
so
I have this amazing thought in my head that maybe somebody is listening to this while they're in line at the polls. How cool would that be?
That would be.
Okay. At the very least, we're putting it out November 2nd so that if you are just nervously awaiting Election Day and its eventual results, you got something to take your mind off it for about 4 hours. That's the plan anyways. So, we are talking about the freshest effort from RTJ.
4.
Came out literally about 4.5, 5 months ago.
I know, yeah.
And that simultaneously feels like forever ago.
Last year,
It was like a year and a half, 2 years ago
right.
At this point. But it also still, unfortunately, feels extremely fresh.
Right.
And I think that's probably going to be the long-form debate within this episode. We just came off of 3, which, as of that recording, kind of reconfirmed to me, like, yeah, this is my favorite. This is where I fell in love with them.
Right.
It's still my favorite top to bottom, even though 2, right there with it.
But I think 3, like I tried to say, was that like 3 is the proverbial, like, we can see the future. And if anything, this record is more of a, wow, if it wasn't recorded a long time ago and you just like hit it on the head with like the content of it, you were probably maybe close to press or not, and like you went back and recorded one song in particular, which we'll get to, that is so of the time. And we can talk about the concert experience that we both separately had watching the concert on Cartoon Network, that the moment that song especially was given, that it just feels like this whole thing is just, it's like a blueprint to navigating this shitty year. Like they knew it was going to be shitty from Jump Street.
Okay, so you got 3 that drops literally like
Christmas after Donald Trump is elected president.
Yes. And again, obviously was probably completed. There's probably some finishing touches being put on it post Trump election.
Hopefully.
Yes. But anyways, and then you come to this one, which we first heard about it in 2018.
Right.
So midway through the Trump presidency, but we get it in the midst, and we've talked about this on the other episodes, but at a time when it feels like, oh, did they record this within the last week or so? It felt so fresh and so relevant. And I think that is also, like I said, it feels like it came out forever ago, but re-listening to it has been one of those things that has kept these issues in the front of my mind.
Right.
In a good way, in a positive way, I think, for the last several months. It's kept me engaged, whereas there is a lot of like mainstream media in general right now that has kind of backed off of the racial equality conversation that was really, really intense for a couple weeks right after George Floyd. And then it very quickly became, people get really uncomfortable taking a hard look at some of this shit. Mm-hmm. And so let's just, let's go back to worrying about the coronavirus specifically. Let's start getting really worried about this election. And then all of the shit that entailed in the last few months.
Right.
Everybody's been living through it. I don't feel like we actively need to like comment on it right now. It's been a wild time, but this has been an album that again has kept what's really at stake in the front of my mind. And then when we had the announcement that they were doing the whole Holy Kalama vote thing with Adult Swim, which was incredible and felt like the perfect time to do it.
Oh yeah.
Like a month or two before. And that is really, that's the thing. If I have any huge hope right now, is that the youth vote, the mysterious youth vote that is always supposed to show up but never quite pays off the way you want it to. I have to believe that a younger generation coming up in what they've experienced just in the last like 8 or 9 months, let alone the last 4 years, and are going to be able to vote for the first time, are like enthused to do so and have been, properly educated about like how important it is that they do so. And we can get into the Electoral College and all of my problems with that, etc., on another podcast. Maybe we'll get super political in 2021. But given the system that we have in place right now, it is one of the most important things you can do. And they echoed it at the very end of that show as well. They managed to keep politics, or like partisanship, I should say, out of it. They said the last thing, as far as we can figure, the last thing any of them, not, he didn't get specific, any of them want you to do is go out and vote and express yourself and make your voice heard, basically. Like that is the most revolutionary thing you can do, is actually like show up and do this thing. Mm-hmm. Because there is a lot of cynicism in that, like, it's it's irrelevant. It's all rigged. We're going to, they're going to decide who they want it to be anyways. My voice doesn't really count. And I've definitely had those feelings before, but I kind of have.
But if half the people you're seeing on the news that people are complaining about that are protesting, if half of them, if just imagine that everybody you've seen in all these videos, all of them have already cast an absentee ballot because they're out protesting, like they're not actually, they get exempt from that. I don't think that's not a reason. Obviously, you got to be working or like out of the, whatever. But if half of them have done that, and done it for the person, that doesn't matter who it is. That's the thing. I don't think we talked about off mic about who you would say to vote for. I'm not going to, it's the one thing you can lie to all your friends about just to feel right about the conversation. That's the weird thing about voting. If you vote your heart, that's all that matters. And if deep down inside your heart, you are all for, sexism and racism and all that kind of stuff, fuck you. I don't want to know you, and don't ever talk to me again. Yeah. And even if you aren't that way, a vote for that candidate means you're okay with it. And we all know what that means. But you don't have to be that guy. You can simply say, oh, I didn't vote for him, when really you did. Yeah. It's like when we saw Dave Chappelle and he was like, a lot of women in here. At least half the room voted for Trump now. I'm in Trump country and I know it and I can say it. All y'all booing, half of you in here did it. That's just what the numbers say. Yeah. So that's the point. But again, we hope that everybody who can hear us and whatnot, even this year I heard like my favorite drag queen did a thing to get convicts who have served their time and rehabilitated that they can now vote in Florida. So like that's a thing. I'm really glad Patrice Royale did that. So this is probably, I was thinking about it driving down here, the single most important election that I can think of
our lifetime.
Of our lifetime. Sure. Unless we're going to have to vote on, one, whether we give robots sentience and they have rights. Two, if we agree that it's going to be the atheist versus the cult of soul, or if we're going to finally ever elect an actual female running president that everybody can get behind. That's not divisive. That doesn't have an issue on each side about whatever. So barring those three things actually happening, this is the most important election of our lifetime.
Just remember, the hovercraft's cool, but the air's so putrid. All right? Okay, let's try and talk about this record. I didn't prepare categories like we did for the last one.
Yeah.
It's been a bit.
Yeah.
So let's just kick it off with fucking Yankee and the Brave. Episode 4.
This week on Yankee and the Brave.
Back at it like a crack addict, Mr. Black Magic, crack a bitch back, chiropractic, craftmatic, Nick, daddy smoking big, Cali in a black, alley in a black, granddaddy rolling down, old natty how, nappy Matty as a black, granddaddy all back, no cabin, fat black, boat captain, stay floating, no flapping, wave runner, I'm a gunner, I'ma have your block hot as a sauna all summer, and I put that on Osama and my motherfucking mama, I'ma terrorize the actors playing like they want some drama, I'ma chop 'em with a chopper till I motherfucking drop 'em.
Stack addict or Mac when the blackest fabric, I'm back, I'm magically racking it, that's when I'm ducking, rat-a-tat-tats, I'm running a truck over sucker shit, matter of fact it's the ass and even the crack, automatic facts, it's like that, scam or bliss when you put in feelings in charge of shit, all of us targeted, all we doing is arguing, pardon them as they work until every pocket's been picked and sold and harvested, I'm ready to mob but these fucking charlatans,
Are we retroactively trying to think that that's been their identity the entire three albums, or is just like, because this feels like a concept album?
That's the implication,
right?
But yeah, retroactively, I was like, oh, okay, Run the Jewels is Yankee and the Brave. It's all
it's an alter ego.
It's all one thing. Yeah. I mean, Killer Mike is Michael Render,
right?
Really, but he existed as Killer Mike prior, so it's like they are Run the Jewels together.
Mm-hmm.
It's Yankee and the Brave, man. I don't know.
Yankee and the Brave.
You have to wonder, it's like, has that been in their back pocket for like years? Like, did somebody else coin that? They're like, oh man, yeah, he's the Yankee fan, New York, and he's, the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah.
Like,
because they pitch these rhymes like Maddox, like Gavin, like Maddox 9-5 or whatever, however they say it. They pitch the rhymes like that. Of course, he's gonna be the Brave.
Yeah. You can tell we're out of practice.
We are, yeah. The puns will start coming, and as soon as they get going, it'll be time to be done. Because we're not going to go too long on this. We're not going to go song by song or anything. But
we're talking about. We just gave you a little Yankee and the Brave. I think it's arguably one of the best intro tracks across the discography, if not the best. It is just back at it like a crack addict, dude. I immediately was just like, oh, dude, I'm so ready for this record.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the first single. The first single was actually the second track.
Right.
Ooh La La.
Ah, oui, oui.
Ah, oui, oui. Ooh la la. Looking for M's like I lost a friend. Jump out of my bed like where the bread. You go hold the egg, waiter bring the check. When we talk, we Kalishnikov. Keep us in your thoughts, fully dressed at the crack of dawn. Weapons letting off, I can hear them from the block. See them creeping through the fog. Season's greetings, now feeding season can start. Oh my God, look alive, looking like I live life on a crooked line. Doing fine, you want maximum stupid, I am the guy.
First of all, fuck the fucking law. We is fucking raw. Stay tall, oysters on the half shell. Switch your ball, like a bitch and the pussy fish. Still fuck the raw. I'm a dog, I'm a dirty dog. Ha 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 ha. Oh, dirty bastard, go in your jaw. Shimmy, shimmy, y'all. Got the simmy in the hemi, go and gimme, y'all. Pugilistic, my linguistics, RJ Ruder damage, y'all. And I rap it, pornographic, bitch, set up the camera.
You got Greg Nice and DJ Premier on there. So they both showed for Holy Coloma Vote in person. And we'll kind of highlight this as we go through, like, maybe what you thought were the best ones. But hearing that hook performed live, as opposed to just where you assume on the record it's probably like, oh, it's thrown down like once and then it's chopped up and like repeated, etc. But to hear him do it live and like kind of add different inflections to it, that's one of those that, like, on the album itself, maybe not like in my top 5 favorites or anything, even though I think this thing is pretty incredible from top to bottom. We'll get to it. But seeing it live made me appreciate it a little bit.
Exactly.
More. Hey, I heard Greg Nice. Hey, the OG MC. Hey, talk to him, Greg. Hey.
Ooh la la, ah wee wee.
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 Let's go.
Ooh la la, ah wee wee. Ooh la la, ah wee wee. Ooh la la, ah wee wee. Ooh la la.
And they, of course, dropped this as a single with a fantastic video.
Oh, yeah.
Echoing a lot of, like, the protests and stuff we were seeing. And, again, I don't know when they shot that. I don't know. Just the timing was truly everything with this one. And I started to make this point earlier. I don't think I fully got it out. But I think that's kind of what we're going to be tracking is this feels right now like the pinnacle of their discography thus far, the best thing they've put out.
Right.
But I am also curious to see how I'll feel about this one in 2 years, 4 years, etc. I would like to think that we're at a point in this country when I look back at this and I'm like, holy shit, look at how close we came to some of this, and like we've actually made some progress and moved past a lot of these like hardcore issues that are being dealt with on this record. I would like to be able to look back at it and be like, oh, it was definitely a product of its time, but it's a little tied to that. Whereas, again, we talked about 3, even as, like, it's in retrospect, it's a little ominous, like it kind of knows what's coming, and those darker seeds are there if you pay attention to them. But on the surface, it's a pretty upbeat, like, you know, badass party record, essentially. So I'm interested to see how I feel about this one long term, but in the moment, this might be the best. Let's continue through the track list. Anyone that you want to just shout out randomly?
No, I just wanted to speak to the fact that the first, like Yankee and the Brave episode 4, the story that is outlined in that, in the, you know, I got 1 round left, 100 cops outside, and like, you know, I got the Granddad running in the alley out back. Whatever, all that, like, just I have a mental picture. Like, I'm glad there isn't a video for this yet.
I think there is.
Is there one now?
There's the animated video that just dropped recently.
Okay, maybe that's it. But like,
I'll check on this while you're
check it, because if it is, I want to watch it because I just had this image of in my head of like, no, not, and again, I had it listening to it the first time. But when you get to the end and you play the last track and you basically get what I consider to be like the 70s credit intro to the weekly show of
we haven't done this yet, and let's just live watch a video together.
Yeah, why not?
This was something.
Time die, I'm galactically fly. The moon is moving, the maniacs in the city to crime. Hearts fried, all this neon is ripping us up inside. Immortality's out of bounds, it's a 1 round ride.
I got 1 round left, 100 cops outside. I could shoot at them or put one between my eyes. Chose to let it, don't matter, it ain't suicide. And if the news say it was, that's a goddamn lie. I can let the pigs kill me, I got too much pride. And I meant it when I said it, never take me alive.
I got the Grand Nag running in the alley outside. The mic will run like you hungry and get your ass in a ride. I'd rather have and not need you than watch your rotten demise. And you still owe me, but I'm nice. You do not get to just die. You try to fuck with my brother, you get the bastard surprise. And that's more honest than your whole life in a fraction of time. I didn't get my degree on how to smoke weed till I'm blind. So you can ruin my high. You wanna do when you buy.
My brother made a point, so out the back door I'ma slide. A chubby husky died scrubbing, fucking up my Levi's. So crooked copper got the dropper, I put lead in his eye. Plus we heard he murdered a black child, so none of us cried. Yankee ain't the brave in here, everybody hit the deck. We don't mean no harm, but we truly mean all the disrespect for.
That is exactly what I wanted that music video to be, even down to the robot Nazi cops. I think it's perfect.
I mean, the only thing that would have been better is if it was live action.
Oh, yeah, of course. That's, I mean, again, that's what I'm thinking. It should be live action. It should be them. But you know what? I'll take it. I can't hate on that video at all. That's pretty dope. I didn't know it came out.
Yeah, I had not watched it yet. That was a nice treat. Here we go. Yeah, one of the best intro tracks.
Oh, yeah.
A total, like, hey, let me kick in the fucking door. We're back, by the way. Just in case you forgot how fucking badass we are. Here we go. Okay, so we can play a little fantastic feats. We've talked about our first feature thus far. Let's go ahead and transition into Out of Sight, featuring 2 Chainz.
Probably my favorite, honestly.
Probably your favorite of the features. Well, let's listen to it right now.
You know I'm popping, the product of fucking poverty. I'm cool as AC, and you niggas, you just wannabes. I slide on tracks like home plate, ride beats like road rage, got a crib in like 4 states. I get a text like stay safe, text back. I miss that pussy, be home soon and I can't wait. I came from a dream, triple beam and some great tape. Assistant went shopping, put my bags in the 8-8. Hello, Mr. Big Safe, the bank teller trying to get ranked. I buy a hot dog stand if I'm trying to be frank. Just left the hospital, making sure my nigga was straight. And sent Bear a couple dollars till they give him a date. Tony.
I'll buy a hot dog stand if I'm trying to be frank.
Oh, Mr. Big Bank. Yeah.
Bank teller trying to get ranked. Buy a hot dog stand if I love fucking 2 Chainz, dude.
Yeah.
Have I ever told you the bit about 2 Chainz on Nancy Grace's show?
I don't believe so.
The way, all right, she's arguing with him about marijuana, and he's going back and forth, and they're on like a 4-person panel or 6-person panel, and the way he's situated, the guy that she goes to is below 2 Chainz, and he just goes, no, you know what, Nancy, I'd actually like to just let 2 Chainz take my time, and he just goes, hey, thanks, Norm, and it looks like he's just like, it looks like an episode of Hollywood Squares, but he goes, hey, thanks, Norm, and he launches back into what he was saying to Nancy Grace, because she was, of course, like getting on about marijuana. She's like, yeah, of course, this mom that's blowing marijuana in this child's face, that's fucking wrong. But think about this, Nancy. I get somebody, the cops come on my tour bus. Oh, we smell weed. They take the pipe, they take the marijuana. I get charged with it. Come to find out, it ain't even mine. It's one of my homeboys. He goes, he beats the case and all that. How much money did they just waste off taxpayer dollars trying to prosecute somebody for a little bit of marijuana? It's stupid. And he like outclasses her and outshines her at every turn when it comes to talking about weed. But to this day, if somebody does something nice, I'm like, hey, thanks, Norm. I just do it. It's just fucking ridiculous. And I cannot find the clip anywhere online. Okay. If I ever come across it, I will send it to you. But that is one of the reasons why I love 2 Chainz. And I was so happy to hear him show up on this track. And that's why it's one of my, it probably is my favorite off of this album, if I'm being honest.
Favorite song or
Solo.
favorite feature?
Feature, not song.
Well, that's a bold statement considering. This is kind of going to be the centerpiece. I think it's the best song on the album.
What's that?
It's Just.
Yeah.
And it's well, how do we even begin to deconstruct all of the different features on here?
Well, I think.
And then we got Pulling the Pen, which is a close second as well, which is another one.
Let's just say that, you know what? It's the fourth one. We can have 4 favorite feats, 4 top feats. I don't know.
Straight solo verse. I enjoy the 2 Chainz one. It's one of the lighter, more fun track.
Right.
For sure. But let's talk about Just.
Oh,
might be my favorite on here.
Oh no, that's my favorite track off this album. Okay. Hands down.
It's got a crazy killer hook from Zach. I mean, it's from them as well, but
right.
Zach kind of hammers it home, and then his verse where he comes on the end is super great, but I really love the Pharrell
Me too.
hook on everything. And that kind of drives the melody of the song almost. It's like, it's really, I don't know. It's a toss-up on it.
Master Instagram, cause you can instigate a follow. Look at all these slave masters. Let it sink in.
2020, run the map. Raw one cut in my hourglass. Don't watch it spill to the bottom half. You see the piece, now run it fast. On a tarmac, get a starter jack. C4 when I run it back. Like a track star, run a record lap. Nah, like when it's steel cash. Clean look, port pugilist. A shooter's view is a brutal flick. Too rude for you rudiments. Who convinced you can move against the crew in this? Coming up through the fence. Offshore out of Port-au-Prince. Overjoyed left his fingerprints on the hearts of the gate in the world of residence. How can we be the peace when the beast gonna reach for the worst? Tear all the flesh of the earth. Stay set from a deafening reckoning. Quick like the pace of a verse. So I'm questioning this quest for things is a recipe for early death threatening. But the breath of me is weaponry for you is just money.
Inclined to say Zach, but we've said that on almost every record.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he to me is like the unofficial third member of this group, so I could understand giving it to him just on that basis alone.
You got Gangsta Boo showing back up for Walking in the Snow, singing the hook on there. Solid.
Yeah.
Maybe not my... You can't top her on 2.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
No, that, yeah.
Incredible stuff. Dick in her mouth all day.
Yeah. And I love...
Clit in his mouth all day. Is that what she goes with?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, no, that's what she says.
When she comes in and, like, completely flips the script on that song, that's got to be her highlight moment, right?
Yeah, I could say so. I mean, it's one of those
so
where...
we'll take that one out of contention, but then you got the legend Mavis Staples on Pulling the Pen. Probably the most, like, emotionally, like, devastating thing on the album.
And at best I'm just getting it wrong. And at worst I've been right from the start. It hurts, I've been torn apart. There's a grenade in my heart, and the pit is in their palm. There's a grenade. There's a grenade. A grenade.
But what I did not realize until watching it live, which in this case, and we should mention with 2 Chainz, back on Out of Sight, when they performed these at Holy Kalama Vote, they were on screens.
Right.
Integrated into the live performance, but I did not know if these were like pre-rolled. They seem like they probably were like pre-taped, and they had at least rehearsed with them. Mm-hmm. Because just like the kind of like ad-libs that Mike and LP were adding in while those were going on, it felt like they, and maybe it was just off the cuff, but I assume that those were taped in advance.
That's what
they
I
were
felt
not
like.
being done like live on site, off camera somewhere, like keeping them separate.
Well, because you run the risk of a feed going out, I feel like. So you want to just do that input,
and
do it once.
We haven't really talked about the performance as a whole, but the transitions and the energy between the amount of camera setups they had and guys they had just going constantly, but knowing exactly like this is the perfect moment to like come in on this
whoever
first.
Directed it needs a fucking shout out. I would hope that
incredible stuff. It would be in some sort of contention for Emmys, I guess, in the next cycle for sure for production.
Is this their buddy that like got them together? What's his face? Jason something.
I didn't see who actually like was responsible for.
I'm sure that's part of why. I mean, we forget to talk about. We did talk about how Cartoon Network
video that we just watched premiered on Adult Swim a week after the Holy Kalama.
That's right, because I remember seeing that at the end and thinking I need to catch that, and I kind of forgot all about it. It was coming out there. Yeah. Because I mean, Eric Andre came back, and I was just like, oh shit, yes.
Yeah, new Eric Andre tonight actually.
Yeah.
2 more episodes. Hannibal's gone, man.
I know.
I don't know if you're up to date. Hannibal's gone. And I thought he did great with the pre-tape sections of Holy Kalama Vote as well. All great stuff. Did you text the number?
I did.
You did? Yeah.
I pledged to vote.
Fun stuff. Really, really well done. I totally lost my thread, but in seeing Josh Homme, who I knew did guitar on it, I didn't realize that he did some of those kind of echoey, haunting, like backup vocals on Pulling the Pen. I did not realize that he's actually singing. I didn't
realize it until I saw him.
Until we saw that.
I had to go look it up.
So another one that played even stronger for me live, even with that remove of like they're not actually there on stage with them, but they're there in spirit, just with like, and yeah, it was pretty top to bottom. I had a fantastic performance that made me immediately upset that it's just like, yeah, so I don't know when we'll ever be able to see them live together.
Exactly.
They are on the bill for Riot Fest in Chicago, which I have tickets to, that was postponed until September, November of this coming year, where My Chemical Romance will also be headlining. We've talked about this on another episode, and I don't want to start a fight right now.
Nope.
But you got plenty of time now. You can get a ticket, and we can go up there together.
We'll see. I mean, because if you want to get
MCR
dude,
and
if you
RTJ
listen,
within like 100 feet of each other.
If you want to get technical, we could say that this whole thing is MCR's fault. They announced they're going to be playing dates, and the world has a fucking pandemic to keep them from doing it. Come on.
I mean, they'd already been out there on the road.
I know, away from us, in foreign countries.
They had played.
Really? I thought they
that
played in
West Coast
Japan.
show. Go on YouTube and watch that set.
I don't want to, Noah, because I'm probably not going to be able to see them live again.
Let's not be that pessimistic.
Yeah.
And let's stop talking about MCR on our RTJ show.
Yeah.
We got to save that for. What did we call that thing? I don't know.
4 Cheers for Street Revenge. We do all 4 albums. We talk about them in depth.
It is only 4, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, unless you want to count Living with Ghosts, I mean, you can if you want.
Maybe that's the follow-up to this. I don't know. Let us know. The Ark of E at
Yeah, that would be
gmail.com.
fun.
I'm sure there's a lot of crossover. Actually, probably is a lot of crossover between RTJ fans and MCR fans in the age range that we are. I would imagine it's a possibility. Where do you want to go, man? Okay, shall we settle Fantastic Feats? I think I agree with you. Solo, maybe it's 2 Chainz just for sheer fun factor.
Right.
Okay. But also my heart maybe is a little bit more with the Mavis Staples and Pulling the Pin. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's where my vote goes.
Okay, that works.
You know, we can have different.
It's not a
ones.
competition.
It's really not.
You can love it all. We do.
It's just a way to.
It's just a personal opinion.
Okay. Shall we jump back to the namesake of Holy Kalama Vote? Holy Kalama Fuck.
Yeah.
And you should say it like that every time.
Holy Kalama Fuck.
Incredible stuff. Reminds me of like a KRS-One track a
Yes.
little bit, just with the loop in it, and yeah, just some assaultive drums. Let's you want to take a listen?
Sure, let's do it.
The log of fire, the non-complier, the death defier, the Mike Myers, murder rapper for hire, doer of drive-bys, the bag, clack, let it loose, murder all witnesses as alive. That's a job completer, dependable contractor, the backhand whack rap slapper, Mr. Leather Bomber Taker, catch you getting off the escalator.
Run it real smooth and don't trigger the
Hey,
undertaker.
18 lacking. I would've ran me a Supreme racket. I would've took these lame Supreme jackets. Until you rob a hype beast, you ain't seen sadness. Clockwork, orange madness left the scene laughing.
Hey, we forever, ever. Jaimito y Michael de Render. The pyrotechnocrats, the old razzle-dazzlers. The magic bean and bobbers. The green giant of the rhyme contrivers. Supreme violence of the time describers. I'm the decider, you evil eyes. A pile driver provided for liars. The sleep depriver. The nick of time, mercy killed the nine and prime. I killed a mood, I'm a rudeness MacGyver. A slapper yapper from the acne to the tooth bone fiber. I'm liver, dark crime designer, criminal minder. And I'm a born and bred Uso who chopped and screwed truth up. Think I got a case of the Mondays on
This tempo change.
Oh, dude, that is
one
my
of the
favorite.
highlights of the album.
My fucking favorite.
Ayo, 1 for mayhem, 2 for mischief. Now aim for the drones in the zoning district. Hit them, burn them, get them, burn them. Can't get the ghost up, no resistance. Pass the shit, Mike, I have to insist it. Reality sucks dick, how staff for wisdom. Lick the toe back like delicious. Time elves wave to me off in the distance. Hey, little guy, I'm just walking through from another timeline where monsters eat truth. Physicists say that though I get proof the multiverse lives, I'm supposed to just lose. Blast on a tank, I drive, it's all fuel. Gotta try to stay cool, honey bunny, don't move. Fuck shit glows in the hearts of the brutes. You hate run the jewels, you don't love the truth. Miss the point, trying to act like shit's cool. Don't fucking tell Doom your number's not due. Every other goddamn year brand new. It's been 20 plus years, you think that's a clue? Maybe this guy kinda killed what he do. He's probably that dude, he left enough proof. Plenty of these gooses disappeared. He's still the next big thing, gotta hurt, ooh. I got
allow me to state that. All that four back, we don't play that. You won't beef, bruh, you just state that. And we stake that, fry and bake that. One time in the big old South, lived a little chubby kid with a big old mouth. Lane riders gave him big old doubts. Now the same little boy in a big old house. Look at him now in the big old cars. And the same folk hate to pay big old Mars. Hey, 1 minute let me be candid. You stand by the garbage can hand to hand. And that dumb trap shit, no proper plan. To see ignorant shit like geekers dance. And rappers rap about it like it's so romantic. But I still can't seem to escape the panic. PTSD streets did the damage. Kept me in hammock, laid back with cannons. Get me fucked up, it be calamity. I'ma come through and leave some damage. I say I'm somebody called ambulance or ambulances. It's out of chances. Fuck that weak shit, you be bantering. You're common cold and my flows are cancerous.
You're Common Cold and my flows are cancers is probably like a top 5 coolest Killer Mike drops.
Oh yeah,
ever.
Definitely.
Definitely up there. Holy Clown Vote, highlight track for sure. They're all highlight tracks. I like, again, other than Ooh La La, which I was a little lukewarm on as a single, hearing it in the context of the album and then seeing it performed live and the video as well. I'm like, yeah, that was the only one I was kind of wonky on. Where do you want to go? What do you want to discuss? Where are some of your highlights? You got any real bad guy shit you want to discuss?
Oh, I mean, the real bad guy shit, I would like to say, I'm a lifetime member of Fuck That Fuck shit. That's me and Jamie Burnshaw with a knife and a musket. Now the Tombstone Red, they wasn't nothing to fuck with. Please say that shit again, Mike. Wasn't nothing to fuck with. I love the way that was capped off in the live performance, because I'm like, how is that going to go down? There's like, knowing this album, listening to it all that I did, there are certain beats I'm like, how is this going to play live? Are they going to amp it up? Are they going to be next to each other? Are they going to be apart from each other, throwing it back and forth across it? Like, what are we going to do? And there's so many, like, I don't really want to, I mean, I don't know. Do you really think there is like obviously one of my favorite lines, I don't know if it qualifies as real bad guy shit, because it's not necessarily about them, but it's like, whose last words to the firing squad were "fuck you too," like just going out with like not give, I still fuck you, like that to me is some bad guy shit. Like that's what that's what a badass would say. But like, did you think there were any coming in and out of this? Did you really feel, it doesn't feel like,
because again, it feels like we're transitioning away from that like bravado of the third one a bit.
Right. Like, it already.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's like you knew, okay, here's one is here, we're here. Oh, what the fuck have we done? We're here. 2 is, let's give you a real Run the Jewels album that actually, is a little bit more produced as opposed to us just hanging out in an apartment.
More the two of us interacting together.
Right.
And less
almost
kind of
finishing
like
each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the third one is Amazing How We Made It and Ain't Fake It, which is a lyric on this album. And the fourth one is pretty much like you said, you know who the fuck we are. You know what we're about already. We don't have to tell you that anymore. There's a certain thing that just comes across in the delivery of these lines that, having those 3 previous albums built into it, there's nothing to question here. There maybe were questions to ask. Well, who the fuck is this dude? Who the fuck is this unknown? I know Killer Mike with the Randy Moss line from forever ago, but who's the other fucking guy? Right. And so it's like, there isn't that isn't the, Run the Jewels is the answer. Your question is what's poppin'? We already know that. You're not even asking what's poppin' anymore. You have this built-in idea of who these two are coming into this album. And it almost kind of feels like they're coming here to save the day a little bit. Because it's like, listen, we're going to come in and swoop in and tell you what's fucked. Because if you want to get into Walking in the Snow, his verse, the first one, Mike comes out with when he lays everything out, and it has the George Floyd reference, like that is probably my single favorite verse on the entire album from him, because whether you want to try and bring up some bullshit statistic, you want to try and say it doesn't, that is almost like the truest thing you'll hear, and you have no one has a rebuttal to that, because I feel like it is so raw, so real, and so true that you have to sit back and you have to think, I just got fucking called out, and I have nothing I can say back to that, because this guy just hit everything on the head. So what am I going to do about it?
Yeah.
And we've already said, you get out and you go vote. That's what you do about it. So, you know, if all you are doing is sitting at home on your couch and watching it on TV and giving a Twitter rant, you're not doing anything. You have to do that and then get up and go do something about it. And I think that's something we touched on before, something that I didn't realize until I watched that interview, that, you know, Mike had been involved in political campaigns since he was a child with his grandmother. And it is really, really nice, I think, because all of these, whatever political thing you want to say, just like the concert, there is no party in it. It is literally like, this is a system. This is how we live. This is what is controlling us to a certain extent. It doesn't matter who's in the seat. You need to make sure that these people in the seat are there because you put them there and they are working for you. You are not working for them. You know? When they make all the references to the cages and stuff, funny thing about a cage, it's not built for just one group. Right. All that shit. But it's done so effortlessly, and it does not throw Democrat or Republican. It throws government in general under the bus. And it takes no prisoners.
It's an us against them thing, and it's trying to obliterate those lines of like, stop falling into the trap of my tribe or my group or the mindset that I like have to follow on this given issue because this is the side I've chosen. Mm-hmm. Focus a little more on like what's right and what's just, period, which usually is somewhere in the center of all of that shit. And let's look to each other. Let's look at our fellow human beings and try and, like, we have a lot more in common than we do differences. It's like the biggest fucking cliches on the planet. But, I mean, yeah, we've talked about the dynamics of, like, the pessimistic, cynical side of them versus the hopeful aspects. Right. And they're never more at war here than, like, I mean, it's the entire album, but that hope still continually comes through, and really did in the live performance where they culminated with like basically telling you again, they didn't make it a partisan thing at all. Mm-mm. They were just like, we just want you guys like get out, vote, make your voice heard. And I gotta believe that hit a lot of, you know, the whole point of having it on Adult Swim or something, you're hitting a very particular target demographic. A lot of those people who probably like maybe don't even engage with the political process. They'd rather just be enjoying, you know, fun, you know, irreverent entertainment. But
yeah, because I mean, it's hard when it was easy when we started this experiment 200 some odd years ago to say, well, no, we don't like those people across the way. And now we've come to, well, we don't like our own people that if we didn't have this issue in front of us or didn't have this divisiveness in a color or a party line or anything like that, we could probably find some common ground. And God help you if you're on one side of it and you agree with the other side on any sort of thing, you'll get vilified. You'll be, you know, it's like he said, I say something on behalf of my people and I pop up in WikiLeaks. Like the whole thing he's, you know, I think actually apart from the piece he talks about explaining everything at the end when he says, all of us serve the same master. All of us nothing but slaves. Never forget in the story of Jesus, the hero was killed by the state. Mm-hmm. I think that is like the sentiment. I'll say it. I think that's like the sentiment of the entire album. I think it's the sentiment of them as a whole. Like, it doesn't matter. Remember that like no matter where you live, what you do, what you feel, there is a state that you will have to go up against at some point. In a perfect world, you wouldn't have to. They would be able to help you with things. They would be here for a different reason. But now you aren't, and you're going to have to come up against it at some point. And how you deal with it and what you choose to do is going to make all the difference. You know what I mean?
continuing on that thread a little bit, it's just kind of occurring to me now. I'm like, it's always been present there, just in the dynamics of Killer Mike and LP, black guy, white guy, New York, Georgia. All of these, things that should be in opposition, and you highlight it here again with Yankee and the Braves. Fucking, if you're a Braves fan, you hate the Yankees. I mean, a lot of people hate the Yankees, but and if you're a Yankees fan, you probably hated the Braves for a bit in the 90s, like when they kind of stole the thunder in general.
With Gavin, Maddox,
Schmaltz.
9-5.
Yeah. The undercurrent has always been, if these two crazy guys can figure it out together and find a way to be best friends, essentially, can't we all, like...
Well, hold on, no. First off, you cheating, because one of them's black and one of them's white. So if you hate them, you automatically racist. I mean... So I just had...
What?
What?
Best drop on the album, but...
First of all, they cheating, because they're one of them black and the other one white. So if you don't like them, you automatically racist.
So they echo that theme of unity, and then it ties into me on the closer, which we can talk about right now if you want to, but a few words for the firing squad. I don't know if this is intentional. I haven't seen it specifically referenced in any reviews or them credited at all. Mm-hmm. But the momentum of the kind of driving what sound like synth strings to me sounds like Never Tear Us Apart.
Oh, no, it's Never Tear Us
by
Apart.
NXS. I don't know if they were explicit about that or it's just like, this should be obvious to you.
Right.
But as soon as I heard that, the first time listening through, I was like, oh, this is fantastic. And what a great undercurrent for, like, again, we always talk about, no matter how, like, out there and wild a given album will get, or how pessimistic or dark it can be at times, there's always this undercurrent of hope that they kind of tend to hammer everything home with. Mm-hmm. And this one, like, brings it all together. Even just, and again, that's one of the things where I'm like, you don't have to have, like, heard that song or have it bring any of those affiliations to it to feel just what that arrangement and then what they're doing over top of it does for you.
I woke up early once again, it's 4 days straight. I didn't wake you, baby, I just watched you lay in the radiation of the city sun. I am in love with you, it is my only grace. You know how everything can seem a little out of place. All of my life it seemed to be the only normal state. So being a normal never really meant me being insane. Being clear about the truth of being sane had never really been the same. I used to want to get the chance to show the world I'm smart. Isn't that dumb? I should have focused mostly on the heart. Cause I see smarter people trample life like it's an art. So being smart ain't what it used to be, this fucking dark. You ever notice that the worst of us have all the chips? It really kinda take the sheen on people getting rich. Like maybe rich is not the holy ever-loving king or nothing. Fuckers know we know your blood, but you are dealing with a motherfucking money runners.
That is
I think
probably next to just my second or third favorite on the album.
And I think it's fitting because, you know, in Never Tear Us Apart, there is a heavy, I don't know if it's a sax or a horn solo, and that is echoed in that as well.
Yes.
So I think you hit, because when you said it, you told me this before we even started talking about, like, doing this as a thing, I believe. Because didn't the album come out? We both listened to it, and then I was like, dude, why don't we just, like, do all of these?
It was definitely, like, within a week of the album coming out.
But you mentioned that first after I listened to it, and I was like, yeah, no, he's totally right. And listening to the entire thing was like, well, yeah, it's you could argue A Few Words for the Firing Squad is their version of Never Tear Us Apart. That's their, you know, if you wanted to go so far as to say that. But
that's one I want a video for as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And again, extremely powerful way to end the Holy Kalama Vote live experience.
Oh yeah.
And transitioning into them kind of like
now,
giving their thoughts.
Because I did mention it just a minute ago about it being one of my favorite verses. What did you think of the attention that was given to Walking in the Snow and his basically breaking it down from, like, you know, you're freest from the ages of 1 to 4 by the time you hit 5.
That was the outside of Mavis Staples on a screen. Again, I have to point out how, like, it's crazy how much that translated and they weren't even in the room. But the most powerful moment was when it stopped on a dime and Mike is like full frame, snow covering him, snow pouring down, and delivers that whole stretch.
And you sit down, house on couch, and watch it on TV. The most you give a Twitter rant, call it a tragedy. But truly the travesty, you've been robbed of your empathy. Replaced it with apathy. I wish I could magically fast forward the future so then you can face it and see how fucked up it'll be. I promise I'm honest, they coming for you the day after they coming for me. I'm reading Chomsky, I'm Rukowski, I'm laying low for a week. I said something on behalf of my people and I puffed it in WikiLeaks. Thank God that I'm covered, the devil can't smother cause you know the evil don't sleep. Did Gregory told me a couple of secrets before he lay down in the grave. All of us serve the same masters. All of us nothing but slaves. Never forgetting the story of Jesus, the hero was killed by the state.
Just got done walking in the snow. Goddamn that motherfucker cold. Just got done walking in the snow.
Goddamn that motherfucker's cold.
Just got done walking in the snow.
Goddamn that motherfucker's cold.
Just got done walking in the snow. Yeah.
Who really wanna run it with the jewel runners? Go hellfire hot in a cool summer. It's a cold winter, baby, and a cruel summer. I suicide bomb in a blue Hummer and emerge had to find out a bruise on them.
Bad news coming Tucson. Street beats like a wet dot chew on 'em. Got a short rope clue on 'em, move on 'em. Hey,
we be the heroes, the breakers, the lane, and the busting the locks. You be the sucker supporting the snitches that talk to the cops.
Hey, it's the romantic attorney and facing a fucking far cry.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure opportunity's knocking, it's probably the law.
Word to the old school tape deck. I get radio Raheem be stick. My Nike pin is sacred, similar to the ghost face bracelet.
Fire in a hole, oh no joke. Proud to go broke, just all smoke. Fuck are we gonna do? Not smoke. Play the job for the role, be a dose. Nah, I'ma do me.
That was one, and I'm imagining again. I'm like, if that's not a staple of how that's gonna be performed from now on, whenever hopefully we do get back to live shows at some point. It's just such a powerful image, and like they were both so on point the entire night. I've watched live videos of them at festivals, and it's like they're high energy and shit. And what's great is they have each other to feed off of, and they almost like silently can communicate to each other like, dude, I can't do this last little bit, so like help me on this word or whatever, or like, hey, I'm getting a little winded, like pick me up here or jump in here a little bit earlier. And I've seen them where it's like, okay, they that was a fun performance, but they didn't like hit everything album perfect, note perfect. They seem so sharp and like ready to deliver this to people in this sort of environment that I mean I've watched it twice. I didn't feel there's not a moment where it was like, and it is a high wire act because so many of these like are just like, how did you guys get a clean recording of that in the first place? Like it's so quick or speedy or like a tongue twister, but to see him just like cold stop on a dime, nail that entire section, and then like jump back into the track, that might be like the highlight moment of that performance. And like you said, I think it is like the key verse, the most like important thing on this record. Probably
it is the most of the moment verse.
Yes,
because I know you, to the point that I've played that song. I played it for everybody at work. I played it for everybody else I knew that even wasn't a Run the Jewels fan, who I was telling, like, you have to listen to this album. Don't worry about anything else. Listen to this album right now and tell me what you think, and come back to me and let me know if you want to get into the others. And every time I played that song, and I started it from his intro of like, the way I see it, you're probably freest from the ages 1 to 4. And I said, what if I told you that album came out, what was it, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Not
after
even?
George Floyd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if I told you that was released right after that happened to him? And they were like, people were like, that was this year? I was like, yes. Like it happened. This album came out very shortly after George Floyd happened. And everybody just they're in disbelief. They don't think I'm being legit. And I have to pull it up and show them, no, this is the date it dropped. This is the date that the George Floyd thing happened.
Well, and that's the other thing is I Can't Breathe. I mean, it's not a new statement.
Mm-hmm.
It comes from the events that are discussed in is it in the same song or maybe it's on another verse, but LP talks about trying to sell smokes. Yeah. Is Eric Garner the New York one?
Yes, Eric Garner's in New York.
Yes. I was going to say, that's, I mean, the first time that I remember it being like a phrase that was being echoed a lot at the time.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying, clearly in reference to that, but you could never have predicted like,
yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. You could argue that like that was already cut in the bag, ready to roll, and then this situation happens, and it just feels of the time, which is a sad thing to say, but I mean that could be the example. Or you look at it as like, hey, I had this as a verse, and I want to go back and redo this right before we drop it.
Well, again, you're like 3 coming out when it does, like, you're still, like we talked about it being ominous, because there's still the thought, you gotta hope against hope in the back of your head, like, maybe shit won't get as wild as it could under this guy. Like, let's hold our breath for a minute. And there was a lot of people doing that. There's a lot of people who elected him in the first place who I think were like, well, what's the worst that could happen? Like, I want to change, etc. You know, all of that. But 2017 is Charlottesville. Right? Mm-hmm. And see, and this album is announced in 2018. So that is the moment, I think, for a lot of people when it was like, okay, this is like, you know, we felt a little uncomfortable when you didn't like publicly denounce the KKK when David Duke was like, I love you, basically. We felt a little weird about that, but okay. Now you're given a chance right here to basically like condemn these guys outright, and you're going to say there's good people on both sides. Wild shit, okay. And you're going to continue to double down on that for the rest, double, triple, quadruple down on that for the rest of your presidency. I think that definitely invigorated a lot of that event alone, independent of anything that's happened in the last 8 months, was enough to give you this album of like, this is the current state of the world. If this guy is in charge and this is the reaction to this sort of behavior, where the fuck are we going from here? And so, yeah. We're just kind of doing the timeline on that.
No, I mean,
that's got to be. I know that was a galvanizing moment for a lot of people, and that probably definitely colored. Like maybe they were hoping, like, hey, you know, maybe we can disengage with some of this and just make more of a fun, crazy record and everything. And they had a lot of fun features around that time, post 3, pre 4 coming out. Mm-hmm. But it definitely feels like, okay, if this is gonna be the next RTJ record, we gotta say something with it, and say something they did. And we're still talking about it right now.
It's like a horse was in the hospital, Noah.
Yeah. Again, I want to be able to look back on this in a couple years and be like, great record, fantastic for what it did at the time. I'm glad we don't live in that version of America anymore.
Right.
But, you know, we remain hopeful, though, as our closing tracks on most RTJ records remind us. So,
well, because deep down inside, that's something nobody can get to. It's hope.
Yeah. You're just gonna quote Morgan Freeman?
I thought that was Andy Dufresne.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that's what he was saying.
Oh, yeah, let's quote Tim Robbins at the end of this.
Sure.
Whatever.
I hope with the highest of hopes, Noah.
We do. We truly do. We will remind you once again, please, if you are of legal age and you are registered, please go vote tomorrow. Hopefully you're listening to this on the 2nd.
And in all seriousness, again, it does not matter who you decide to vote for. I know I made a joke earlier. It doesn't. It is just important that you do, because with the current guy you were talking about, we've had a lot of stuff going on south of the border. Somehow we have managed to make a little bit more peace in the Middle East, which is amazing with Donald Trump as president. I get it. But there are still people in the rest of the world that will risk life, limb, and anything in between to come here to where we live and do what we do, whether it's illegally or whether it's through the process of naturalization. I don't know if the people who become naturalized citizens get to vote or not. Maybe this is a point I shouldn't make, but the fact that there's people out there that would want to, that fight and die to come do this, if you are able to and you don't, you are slapping every one of them in the face. You're slapping everybody in the face who fought and died for everything to give you the opportunity to do that. So just do it. It's not that hard. It's a little bit harder this year, I get. Mask, you got to stay 6 feet apart.
Yes, if you can do it and do it safely, and haven't done it already. Yeah. I know this is like their largest early voter turnout in the history of like an election. So I am encouraged by all of that. I remain hopeful, and we will see how things shake out. You'll either hear our thoughts on this on another Rerun the Jewels episode 5, possibly. If you want it, let us know. Or maybe we'll just end up talking about it on our main feed, the Ark of E podcast.
Maybe.
Regardless, we appreciate anybody and everyone who took the journey with us. Or if you just jumped in for episode 4, we appreciate that too.
Definitely go check out the other 3 if you.
We hope
if
this gave you a little bit of a respite from the anxieties of the upcoming election, but we probably didn't do a great job of that this episode because we reminded you about it about every 5 minutes, I think, probably. Yeah, and again, apologies. It's been a while since we recorded one of these. I know we were a little more loosey-goosey on this one, a little more free-flowing, but I think it was more important to talk about what this album represents and the importance of it in this year than necessarily dissecting track by track,
right,
line by line. We will allow you to do that yourselves.
If you haven't already.
Again, if you'd like us to do an episode 5, I would love to hear feedback on what are your favorite tracks from this album? What are your favorite verses? We didn't play the verses game. We don't like to do that, but like who came out on top? Who had the better verses overall this album? Killer Mike or LP? I would argue this is one of the perfect, you saw it in the live show. The handoffs, the synergy of what the two of those guys come together to do. We didn't
even talk about getting into the personal aspect of any of this, because in the moving from 3 to 4, in the later part of the album, Mike does mention like his mother passing away, and like the little bit of insight and upbringing that you get from his mother, because like I feel like he mentions her on other things, but this album in particular,
I won't say a character. She's been a presence in all of the records.
But is this the one that talks about like Uncle Luke, don't stop at Get It Magic City? Like, is that this?
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. So I feel, yeah. And you get like, he says he respects the badge and the gun on the second one, and you can find out his dad was a cop as well. But like, I feel like this one is more, you get more insight on that and the aspect that she played in that. And even despite all that bad personal shit that happens, he does mention stuff about his wife, about WikiLeaks, about his mother. Even he still remains hopeful, when just that alone, I feel like could crush anybody. So you have that on top of all the other shit that's going on for people in America, not to mention black people in America. If he can manage to still stay hopeful, or if at the very least just still standing there screaming, fuck you too, like right back at it, and not backing down from his position on things, that takes a lot. And that's worth getting into this album, listening to it, experiencing it, and living with it. And so I would suspect that everybody who's listening to this probably has. But if you just randomly found, you saw it on Adult Swim a couple weekends ago and you just started listening to it and you haven't really dug deep, this one more than any, I encourage you, take a deep dive. Listen to it a bunch of times.
The only way to change or improve any of the shit is to properly engage with it.
Right.
And the same goes for this record.
Right.
It literally feels like it hits pretty much every relevant thing that is going on in the world right now and puts it in a little 44-minute package. And,
right, yeah. It's not even an hour. It's not going to be that much of your time. Have we hit an hour yet?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. We are going longer than the album itself. So
if that tells you, haven't even dropped in the tunes yet.
No, we haven't. So if that tells you anything, this is, I don't think anything on this year's output is going to top it. It's going to top it for me as a personal favorite.
Yes.
That remains to be seen. We'll be getting to those in a couple months. But just for right now.
Months, in like a month and a half.
Really? Oh shit! Yeah,
it's going to be December, and then the year's going to be.
It's been a long
and then we
year.
can close the book on this dog shit year of 2020, and fingers crossed for a much better 2021.
I think that should be
finally getting a handle on this fucking virus.
Dude, we should, every episode in December should just be like the Ark of E podcast. Blank Review 2020, the longest fucking year ever. That should be the name of the podcast. Everything in December that's a wrap up or like a best of, the longest fucking year ever. I think we should just do it. Because there's shit I'm remembering now that I was like, oh, that was, nope, that was definitely this year, 2020.
Yeah.
I don't even want to think about all of them.
It's been a wild one. I was very happy and pleased to do this with you, brother. You brought this idea to the table. I appreciate it. We hadn't done a music series in quite a while.
Nope.
This was a fun one to tackle. I am totally down to do more episodes if people want to hear them. I would love to talk about rap music, top to bottom. One of my favorite records.
I want to talk about Reagan.
I would love to get. We can just make this a Reagan podcast, I suppose.
Just that song.
I would love to dive deeper into the LP solo stuff that I have only kind of dipped my toe into in the last couple months. But yeah, I would be excited for all of that. So I hope people out there are, or So yeah, the 20 people that listen to this start to finish, if you want more of it, we will do it for you. All right?
Yeah.
We'll give you more content. But I think for now, that's gonna do it. For now, for Rerun the Jewels. That's the name of the show, right? Yeah.
That's what you called it. It was a great title. I came up with a bunch. You're like, nah, Rerun the Jewels, and I was like, yes.
Sometimes the simplest is
the best.
and I immediately checked and was like, shit, nobody's used that yet?
Yeah.
How is this possible?
And then you were like, we should put them all out quickly so that no one else tries to steal it.
Yeah. Screws this
That
up
works.
for us.
So, yeah, that's why you're getting all of them today.
Yes. Okay. So, until next time, I've been Noah.
I've been Gavin.
And we've been the Blanchard Brothers. And we would like you to throw your hands in the air. Wave them like you just don't care.
And keep them there. Run the jewels. Run the jewels. Run the jewels.
Run the jewels.
Run the motherfucking jewels.
Hey, go fucking vote, you piece of shit.
Run the jewels. Run the jewels. Run the jewels. Run the jewels.
Nobody speak, nobody get choked. Nobody speak, nobody get choked.
Nobody speak. Nobody speak. Nobody speak. Nobody gets choked.
We believe the last thing that they want you to do is get out of your house and march down in person, mask on, and cast your ballot for what you think this country is supposed to be, for what you think this country is supposed to reflect. We want you to go down there, and when you get there, tell them Run the Jewels sent you.
Vote local. Vote down the ballot. Vote for your mayor, judges, prosecutors, for the people looking over your life. Vote the bastards out of office and keep the good folks in. Take your neighborhood associations to the polls. Vote. Fill out your census. Make the oligarchs come to their senses. Refuse to lose, refuse to give up. Work every day on making sure everybody come up. Better health care is not welfare. We got to cooperate and share in America. This is RTJ.
This is the story of a couple of small-time hustlers framed by crooked cops and forced to make a run for their lives. Nothing but a bag of money, a stolen Buick Grand National, and each other to their names. They ain't friends exactly. These guys have a better chance of killing each other than beating the odds. No, sir, they're brothers. And when the chips are down, I really don't think you want to bet against them. Yankee of the brand.